Welcome to the Gus Alva Perspective, a videocast that elevates the notion of gratitude and abundance over the mindset of fear and scarcity. The topic that I'd like to touch on today is, I think, a really interesting one. How selfish are you? Now, that's really an important question, right? Because the dichotomy of selfishness is this dual nature of personal prioritization. Because think about this. Selfishness is oftentimes viewed through a very singular lens of condemnation, but it's a multifaceted trait with both positive and negative attributes, and thus that dichotomy. This videocast is aimed to dissect the dichotomy of selfishness, exploring its good and its bad aspect. So we start with acknowledging, first and foremost, its role in our personal development and delving into its impact on the interpersonal relationships that we have and societal dynamics. Not a bad idea then to start with the start. How do we define selfishness? Well, at its core, selfishness is prioritizing your own needs, your own desires, and your own interests over those of others. And it's important that we keep in mind that there are different degrees of selfishness. Selfishness might exist on a spectrum from healthy self-care and self-interest to extreme forms that disregard the well-being of others altogether. There's a great story called The Selfish Giant, in which you basically note this giant that has this castle and this garden, and there's children that want to come in and play. And initially, the giant basically ousts all the children out, and subsequently, there's a lot of things that transcend, in which all of a sudden the elements now come in and create discord within that world of that giant. But once he allows the children to come back in, there's a reset and a change for the positive, and there's a very great moral story associated with it. But it's interesting taking a look at the fact that you can see good and bad from different concepts. So in this concept of selfishness, let's first take a look at the good attributes of selfishness. The first one is self-preservation. Selfishness in moderation is a natural instinct for self-preservation, right? When you prioritize your own well-being, well, that's something that's very important in maintaining your physical and your mental health. In reference to personal growth, a certain level of selfishness can drive personal growth by encouraging individuals to invest time and energy in self-improvement, skill development, which is integral for all of us. If you think about this, that's a really important thing, right? Setting boundaries is also important because selfishness allows individuals to establish healthy boundaries. That prevents exploitation or maintaining, boundaries with, keeping your own sense of autonomy and individuality, and that's really important. And the way that you look at things might also help you along those lines. Personally, I oftentimes think, very early in the morning, if I'm swimming, my family's sleeping, but that's my own selfish time in which I can actually take care of my own physical needs of being able to be in the pool and locked into my own thoughts. But that's my, selfish moment. There are, however, bad attributes of selfishness. So one thing that we oftentimes end up seeing in the psychiatric space is an erosion of empathy. Excessive selfishness might lead to a lack of empathy, and that hinders the ability to understand and connect with the needs and emotions of others. We see then that these things will lead towards damaging relationships. And constant prioritization of one's own needs without regards for others is certainly going to strain relationships, which ultimately erode trust and cooperation. On a societal level, unchecked selfishness can contribute to undermining the fabric of cooperation and collective well-being. So that's something that's really important. So how do we navigate through this dichotomy of good and bad? Well, one thing is we can have a balancing act. That involves understanding that self-care is not mutually exclusive from caring for others. Another very important thing is cultivating empathy. Empathy, remember, is a counterbalance to the negative aspects of selfishness. It involves actively seeking to understand and connect with the experiences of others, which ultimately make us better human beings. And if we think of our community and our collective well being, well, this fosters a sense of responsibility beyond personal interest, and that contributes to a more harmonious society. So, how does selfishness then evolve? Well, we know that with time comes maturity and wisdom. And as individuals mature, there's oftentimes a shift from self centeredness. Think of a child that basically just wants to, again, have their needs fulfilled, to a more nuanced understanding of the importance of balancing personal needs with the needs of others. If we think of society, when we redirect positive aspects of selfishness towards societal well being, well, obviously that leads to contributions that benefit not only us, but also our communities where we live. So, as you'll note, this dichotomy, good, bad, underscores that complex interplay between self interest and communal harmony. So, our mindset of gratitude and abundance can best be utilized to note that while selfishness in its extreme forms can be detrimental, a measured and balanced approach is going to be critical for our personal growth, our relationship stability, and societal flourishing. And by navigating this duality with wisdom and empathy, individuals obviously can harness the positive attributes of selfishness while fostering this harmonious coexistence with others that ultimately elevates all of us. I thank you for joining us on the Gus Alva Perspective on this theme of Are You Selfish? Have a great day.